Blackhawks fans know well that is the perfect way to hype up a Chicago crowd. A home soil World Cup is now just 6 days away for Team USA. But today, their focus is firmly on this match against 10th-ranked Germany. Luke Wildman, Kyle Martino, and Melissa Ortiz will have the call. We will see you at the half. Enjoy.
The Coca-Cola send-off match on TNT. There are just 90 minutes of action remaining before the World Cup begins for the United States on Friday against Paraguay. And today here in Chicago, four-time world champions Germany provide the final test before the tournament. And in this storied venue, Kyle, this crowd has been whipped up into an absolute frenzy.
I mean, just chills right now. I was 13 years old the last time the World Cup was here, and it changed my life forever. I'm not a professional soccer player without that tournament. I don't have a career in soccer without that tournament. These players have the chance to change millions of lives of kids that are going to see this moment and think what's possible, start to dream about what soccer could mean to them. So this is the last chance you and I get to call a game, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and then I get to go be a fan and watch this and enjoy it.
The US coming in off a 3-2 win against Senegal a week ago. Germany were 4-0 winners against Finland before they departed from their game in Mainz last Sunday. In just 6 more days, the US will step onto the biggest stage in the global game. A history-making moment on home soil, unlike anything these players will have experienced before. But the World Cup send-off game gets underway here against a European powerhouse in Germany, in the sunshine at Soldier Field in downtown Chicago. And a lineup you would think that is pretty close to the one that Mauricio Pochettino may well put out against Paraguay in game 1.
I absolutely think so. We talked about it in pregame. There's only 2 changes in my opinion. I like Tillman and Pochettino likes Tillman, but I think Berhalter comes into the side to start the first game, and if Richards is fit, that's the only other change I'd make.
Chris Richards not involved in this one today. Mauricio Pochettino says they're taking it slowly with the recovery to make sure he's okay, as Leroy Sané was making the way down the right side. Then an early free kick given as the foul came in. Mecha goes down under the challenge of Tyler Adams. Germany in form, winning 8 in a row and scoring multiple goals in 7 of those. Wins against Switzerland and Ghana in March before that. Victory against Finland just last Sunday.
And Kimmich can hit a wall. I mean, this is definitely in shooting range. Freeze needs to be switched on.
Matt Freese getting the start today after time was split between the 2 goalkeepers, Matt Turner and Chris Brady, last week. Wirtz, the Liverpool man over at Kimmich, and Sané as well. Just a little over 90 seconds in here. A set-piece opportunity for Germany. Sané moves away. Floated in towards the 6-yard box. And Kai Havertz meets it. And Germany in front inside 2 minutes in Chicago.
Well, you could tell by his approach to that. It looked like Havertz was onside, but you could tell by his slow gait and his walk-up, he's not hitting that one on target. Just too slow from the U.S. Freeze needs to cheat off his line, especially as he's starting to see that's not coming on target. You can see right there, I mean, on his line, has to come out, and also it's just too easy for Havertz, who's very good in the air. He's never going to miss from there. Really poor start from the U.S. What a free kick that was from Kimmich to just put it right on his head.
A week ago, Kai Havertz was scoring in the Champions League final. And now, having joined up with his country, he makes an instant impact here at Soldier Field. Luke Wildman, Kyle Martino in the broadcast booth. Melissa Ortiz, pitchside.
Hey guys, pitch side, it is already downpouring rain, have the umbrella out. I was just talking to Mauricio Pochettino right before kickoff. He was stood right next to me and he said, what a shame that Chicago's not a FIFA World Cup city to host games. It's been an awesome city to be at. The fans, he feels the energy. Of course, now just a few minutes in, to concede a goal is going to change a bit. But now the question is how the USA is going to respond for the rest of the game. How they're going to try to dictate. That was the game plan that we talked to Tyler Adams about and Mauricio Pochettino about. But now they have the full game ahead to try to change things around.
And I struggled in the replay to see who the mark was. I mean, who let Havertz just have that free moment. You've got to expect that ball, and it was curled perfectly. There wasn't a lot of height on it, so Friese doesn't have a lot of time to go out. But if you're going to play a high line like they did and try to hold it, the goalkeeper has to cheat.
Germany on the front foot early here, having made 2 changes to the lineup. Havertz for Undav is one of them. Sané for Lennart Karl is the other. Devastating news for him and for this Germany team as the teenage sensation left yesterday from camp after picking up an injury in training that has forced him out of the World Cup. Here's Pulisic down the left side. He scored in East Hartford, Connecticut the last time these teams met when Germany won by 3-1 in October of 2023. And there is Julian Nagelsmann, 38-year-old head coach of Germany, who is just 74 days older than Tim Ream.
I don't know who that's more impressive. Probably Ream.
Here's Tillman.
Pulisic, for those that watched and those that remember, he scored a gorgeous goal. The U.S. had a really good start against Germany, and it went south as Germany started to switch on. And the opposite here, German national team getting on the board. How the U.S. responds is going to mean everything.
It will be Germany's 21st World Cup appearance. They're the 4th-time champions. The last time was 2014, and they open up in Houston against Curacao a week from tomorrow. Miles Robinson heads it back over halfway. Weston McKennie battling to try and get there in the midfield. Dest pushing forward as well, but picked up on the far side by Brown. Daniel Brown, the left back from Eintracht Frankfurt, being heavily linked with a move to Bayern Munich in the summer here. And now Sané down the right side. And it goes towards the Dortmund man, Mecha in the midfield, and picked up here by Pavlovic, one of the Bayern players in the starting lineup who come in off a successful season winning the double. Mecha once again rolls it through. Havertz couldn't get there, but it comes out for Sané. Kimmich, the captain, looks for that ball down the right side, and Sané will get there at the byline. Pulled back and knocked in, but the flag goes up.
That was out.
Havertz denied a second.
Well, a bit fortunate that downpour happens, because this ball, I mean, it's just gorgeous. Lovely backdoor run. It's that skip. Look how much speed it takes off the turf. And Kimmich is so good at running the game. I mean, calm, composed, has all sorts of range of passing, spin. And that's where the wide players for Germany, especially Sané, can just wait for the game to come to them. Could be a good matchup with he and Anthony Robinson.
Robinson's ball inside towards Tyler Adams. He got challenged there from Musiala. Let's take a look at our AT&T net cam.
I think it's Miles Robinson who loses him for a second. It's just where he heads that ball. I got Brad Guzan next to me, and he's taking a look over my shoulder. Now, it's a great free kick. Brad, what do you think? Of course, he says a goalkeeper thing, needs help from the defenders. Thanks, Brad.
Did you expect anything else?
Now, and Friese, you're being nitpicky because that ball is as perfect as you'd hit it. It's not in the air long. It curls right in the spot, but just where it is, I mean, the header's 3 yards out, 3 or 4 yards out.
Brown racing forward over halfway down that left side. Sané was in space over on the other side, and Nagelsmann trying to orchestrate things on the edge of the technical area to get them to switch to the right quicker than they did. But this is Kimmich, the Bayern man, 110th cap today for Joshua Kimmich. 13th all-time meeting today between the US and Germany, and here's the goal scorer Havertz, wide out to the left side. Tillman under pressure here. And out it goes on the far side for a throw.
You get an early look at how challenging it is with the wide players. Verts and Sané, they're holding those wide positions. There's so much interchanging, almost like a top four at times, occupying a lot of that U.S. back line and forcing the wingbacks into those tough positions, a position that they didn't have to spend a lot of time in against Senegal.
And one of the takeaways that U.S. wanted to work on is managing transitions, whether it's offensively or defensively. And defensively, somewhat done a little bit better so far, but they definitely have to keep an eye out, Kyle, as you say, on those wide players. That's the biggest challenge. And offensively, of course, get on quicker. We need to see that acceleration, link up with Ballo. We haven't really seen much so far.
The goal scored just 1 minute and 45 seconds in. The earliest goal the US has conceded since giving one up 30 seconds in against Jamaica in March of 2024. It was the Nations League semi-finals. They went on to win in extra time, getting that leveler right at the end of that game and winning by 3-1. Here's Robinson under pressure from Zane as it goes back in towards Tim Ream. Now Adams. Robinson down the left side, up towards Christian Pulisic, who had a goal and an assist a week ago. The ball over the top sees Serginho Dest chasing here. And that is well defended. The referee, I think, was got to give the free kick. He thought about an advantage, but it's pulled back here. Nathaniel Brown.
That was excellent. I mean, this transition, wonderful ball out from Robinson. First time pass there from Pulisic. And the header from Dest, it definitely cuts into the lane of Brown. It gives him a better chance to win it, but Dest had a full head of speed and maybe a 3 or 4 yard start. Wonderful one-on-one defending right there. A good little sequence there from the U.S.
Just a 5th cap for Brown, who played 90 minutes last week against Finland on just his 2nd start. And here he comes, pushing forward over halfway. Germany threatening once again here as Nathaniel Brown cuts in towards Havertz. Havertz with a ball across goal, and Sané couldn't get on the end of it. And I think the flag is up anyway here. So a free kick for the US, 10 minutes in.
You can see when the U.S. is just slightly slow to get numbers around the ball. When those overloads happen in those wide positions, it's just the talent, the dynamism of Wirtz and then Sané on this side. I mean, one touch, they've got so much separation. Obviously, ingenuity is really important when the U.S. leaves that back line, especially when Freeman is trying to go help on that side of the field. I mean, he's going to see a different player in his zone, in his position every 30 seconds. There's going to be so much interchanging. They got to make sure they're communicating and switched on.
Back it comes towards Fries. And under pressure there from Florian Wirtz. Fries is able to clear that one downfield. It'll be a first World Cup for Florian Wirtz. He missed 2022 with an injury. Here's Pulisic with the ball forward. Dest just can't quite get there. The US unable to really threaten as an attacking force so far. Tar with the ball up towards halfway. Musiala skips away from the challenge of Tillman. The last time Musiala played in the United States, he had that serious injury in the quarter-final of the Club World Cup in Atlanta. Fries coming a long way and gets the clearance downfield. I think Balogun was coming back from an offside position, and the flag does go up now. Mecha. Pulisic picks it up here just inside his own half. This is Tillman. Through towards McKennie. And Pulisic here for the United States. He's got Balogun to the left side. Dest is in the box. Balogun's ball in, and Dest couldn't get there. Dest fresh off his goal-scoring appearance a week ago. Cutting in once more to that 6-yard box, but this time couldn't make the connection.
Yeah, look at Dest. He starts making that run right now. Ball's just a little bit ahead of him. It's a wonderful idea from Balogun. We saw Dest score from that position last game. I mean, even though down 1-0, Dest almost an inverted winger. I mean, if you had no idea what position he was supposed to play and how they were starting with and without the ball, I mean, his willingness to get forward is obviously encouraged by the coaching staff.
He said this week he's always been really confident about his own abilities, but that goal last week just gave him the boost he needed, and a timely boost as well heading into the World Cup for Serginho Dest. Dest starting all 4 games in Qatar and assisted on Pulisic's goal against Iran in the group stage of that tournament. Serginho Dest, one of 6 players from the 2022 World Cup squad that starts the game today. I think the cheers are because the sun has come back out here. at Soldier Field. And that early Havertz goal took a little bit of the energy out of the building, which, as we said before, had been whipped up into a frenzy with the flags, the appearance from the 94 World Cup stars on the pitch as well. It's a great little touch as well. They had them all waiting at halfway when the US players came out for warm-ups, and they ran and met all the players from 94 as well.
Incredible changing of the guard. I got to play with a lot of the 94 guys. And they did so much for the game. How wonderful that group is here to send them off.
Is that how old you are, Carl?
I'm old. What gave it away? The gray hair?
Hey, at least you have hair.
Hey, don't go at bees like that.
And Brad.
Well, I automatically assumed it was Brad, to be honest with you, but Beast fits as well.
It's been a good response from the U.S. I think Pochettino will like that. Obviously, you know, one set piece, it's one switch off, one moment. But they've come back and they calmed the game down. They've been pressing the ball as a unit better. Obviously playing through Germany's pressure better. Good response.
Ream here at the back, the 38-year-old up towards halfway, rolls it into the left channel for Robinson to chase. Anthony Robinson here up against Kimmich. Robinson to the byline, off the boot of Kimmich it goes. It's a first corner for the United States here. Comes in the 15th minute at Soldier Field.
Well, Green, one of the reasons he's here, his just play out of the back. He was excellent against Senegal. He's just so good. There was a little deceptive fake pass centrally, overhit the ball to Robinson a little bit.
Anthony Robinson towards Dest on the edge of the box, and Dest goes for goal. It's always rising. Oliver Baumann in goal for Germany, turned 36 last week, the Hoffenheim man. Played every minute of all 6 in World Cup qualifying, and then all of a sudden, when you think you're the number one, back comes Manuel Neuer, who isn't fit yet, isn't involved here today from the start. This is Balogun, down the left side up against Tar. Balogun trying to create some space. Balogun takes the deflection and out for a second US corner here.
Listen to the crowd. Yeah, we saw this in training, Luke, the other day. They were working some attacking sequences, and Balogun a few times, just incredible change of speed. I love that. Just thinking, go at goal, gets a corner out of it.
He scored in 3 of his 4 starts under Mauricio Pochettino. Flo Balogun, this is Pulisic. Plenty of space here for Tyler Adams. And across it goes for Dest. Some sustained pressure here inside the final third for the US for the first time here at Soldier Field as Robinson goes wide to the left for Pulisic. Christian Pulisic plays that cross in. Ream couldn't quite get there. Balogun was close as well. Back out it comes towards Tyler Adams. Here's Anthony Robinson, and the Fulham man across for Dest once more. Germany with everybody back behind the ball right now. Anthony Robinson wide to the right side as the header comes back across towards Balogun. Kenny couldn't quite get there. Balogun will chase. Dest. Freeman cutting in from the right touchline there. And still going. And this is Tillman. Dest now down the right touchline. On the way through for Balogun there as Germany look to get it away down the far side, but they might have turned possession over here. Good battling from Balogun. This is Serginho Dest. Slides it through, and the cross from McKennie. Pulisic couldn't meet it in the air. Picked up by Freeman once again. This is good from the United States. And Anthony Robinson just couldn't quite make his way through.
Yeah, we talked pre-game about the importance of the U.S. to get in these attacking postures, to be calm, to be composed on the ball, because in the heat, yeah, the counter-pressing is going to be way more effective when they're the ones forcing Germany out of their positions.
Yeah, it's the counter press and also the quick transitions that not only Senegal had in the last game, but Germany is sure doing in this game.
Sané brings it down up against Anthony Robinson. Sané's ball in, headed away by Miles Robinson, and Dest volleys it out into touch on the far side. 5 of the 11 for Germany today were in the 2022 World Cup squad, including that man there, Leroy Sané, who now plays for Galatasaray. 76th cap today for the 30-year-old who has 16 international goals. The United States opening up next Friday against Paraguay in LA. June 12th, the date. Balogun putting pressure on here as it's cleared downfield by Baumann. Paraguay winning 4-0 against Nicaragua yesterday, but they lost Julio Enciso to injury, who will almost certainly now be out of the first game, maybe more. But if you thought this was a frenzy, by the way, you should have seen the scenes in Paraguay last night, as they had slightly more flares and smoke to send off their team, and fireworks and all the things that you wouldn't get.
No such thing as friendlies now.
Head coach of Germany, Julian Nagelsmann, is definitely not happy with that cause.
Yeah, we can hear him.
And so can the fourth official, very much, right in his ear. The goal coming inside the first 2 minutes, scored by Kai Havertz, who became just the second player to score in 2 Champions League finals for 2 different clubs. Mandzukic and Ronaldo, the other 2. He did it with Arsenal in that game against PSG, and he also did it with Chelsea in a game that Christian Pulisic was involved in when they beat Manchester City in the Champions League final. Havertz and Pulisic, teammates at Chelsea. Mecha gliding down that left side, rolling the ball forward towards Wirtz. The easiest of seasons for Florian Wirtz in his introduction to the Premier League with Liverpool. Across now for Kimmich. Just too much on that one. US Soccer on TNT is presented by Volkswagen. Live life in the driver's seat. Germany in Group E in the World Cup. Mentioned earlier, opening in Houston against Curacao. Then they head north of the border to Toronto to face Ivory Coast, and they finish the group stage against Ecuador in New Jersey. They failed to advance from the group in the last 2 World Cups since winning it all in 2014. Ream steps in, Miles Robinson back towards Matt Freese. Schlotterbeck at the back, the 26-year-old Dortmund defender.
Germany's third game in New Jersey against Ecuador is going to be a sea of yellow. All of the Ecuadorians that live in New Jersey, that one's definitely going to be an exciting matchup. 2 strong teams. Ecuador, of course, being second in World Cup qualifiers in CONMEBOL. They're definitely a dark horse to go far in the World Cup.
Tar alongside Schlotterbeck at the back. This is Kimmich. US coming more into the game as the half goes on after a very dominant start from Germany. They made the US pay with the goal from Havertz from the set piece, heading in past Freese. Now space for the midfield as it's rolled forward towards Sané. Sané's ball into the back post, no one able to get on the end of it. As we approach the hydration break here. We'll see if Mauricio Pochettino gets his laptop back out. We just saw there Nagelsmann about to get his whiteboard out. A little less technical than Mauricio Pochettino. The old crayons and the whiteboard.
Different eras of technology.
So a good response from the United States, Kyle.
Absolutely. And listen, it's going to be tough because when the caliber goes up, Senegal had a few moments where they looked good on the ball, and you can just see today the caliber a little bit higher. If you're late with your marks, if you're just switched off for a second, it only takes that moment for some of the best teams in the World Cup to punish you. We'll take a look back at that goal. And it's a wonderful ball in from Kimmich, and they're At this point, you could see where the ball's headed from. Now, of course, Robinson has to do better with his mark, but you just wonder if Freese can go out and make a play on that. But anyway, you slice it, it can't be that easy that early on, especially when you think about the first game of the World Cup and the statistics of how many teams go out and how hard it is to stay in a tournament when you don't get a win in that first game. And if you get a 0 in that first game, things change dramatically fast. So just early on in the tournament, set pieces, moments of transition, just being hyper switched on is going to be critical. But Pochettino will love the response he's seen from his team since that moment.
5 days until the World Cup begins, with Mexico taking on South Africa at the Azteca. 6 days until the US first game. This today, Mauricio Pochettino's 26th match in charge. The most recent game last weekend in Charlotte. It was a great atmosphere there as well in Charlotte last weekend. A 3-2 victory against Senegal. Dest, Pulisic and Balogun with the goals. Mane had scored twice to tie it at 2-2. Senegal were ranked number 14. Uruguay were ranked number 15 when the teams met in November, and the US won by 5-1. Under Mauricio Pochettino, they've won 2 of the 4 games they've played against teams inside the FIFA top 15. Germany, without doubt, the toughest test here, ranked number 10. And the US will go across to the far side to get things started once again here. First ever meeting between these nations was right here at Soldier Field in 1993. Germany winning by 4-3. Jürgen Klinsmann got one. A Karl-Heinz Riedler hat-trick for Germany as well. Thomas Dooley with a couple, and Ernie Stewart for the US as well. Some great names to remember from both sides there. Here's Dest. Was he fouled? No. Dest asking the referee, Piero Masso of Chile, the 41-year-old from Santiago, to give him the free kick, but he waved away the appeals. It's Masso's first US men's national team game as a referee. Into the midfield for Pavlovic. Musiala goes down under the challenge, and this time the decision does go the way of Germany, but for a previous foul.
And I think it was Weston that slid in on that first ball of the sequence. And here's a look at it.
Just catches Brown, doesn't he?
Don't mind that aggression too. You know, you have to start sending a message. You've seen a few times where players have been a little bit late to press the ball. You know, a hand check, just letting Germany know that there's presence there, there's confrontation there. And every now and then you do slide in a little late like that just to get a breather, because the game has been very high-paced, and it is very hot.
Picked up by Sané here, gets away from Tillman. Ream comes in with a challenge and wins the ball. Great challenge there to get it back for the US, and they'll go across towards Freese. Freese clears down the right side.
That counter press by Germany is suffocating, but USA is finding and doing, and the fans are clapping the way that USA was able to get out of that dangerous situation. Kyle, you mentioned when it comes to sending that message, and it has to be like that healthy balance between, of course, that aggression, sending that nice tackle to know the presence, but also, hey, the World Cup is just a few days away, so you're protecting not only your teammates, but also in the same way, you know, we've been in this position before a World Cup where you also want to show respect to the opponent and not injure another player, so it's finding that healthy balance.
Tillman. Robinson on cap number 54. Here's Pulisic. Now Tyler Adams. Adams just continues to play. Got straight back up after the challenge from Havertz, despite the appeals from the crowd more than anything else that he should have got a free kick there, and match it in the midfield. Qatar. Mecha once again. Kimmich trying to get away from Balogun here, and that will be a free kick. In fact, the referee played on for a moment because Kimmich was so effective at escaping the challenge.